Cyprus, a small little island that nobody really cares about, a last-minute deal was reached that will, quote, spare the Mediterranean island a financial meltdown. Oh, well, that's really good news, right? Well, not really, and not really good for you. The Bank of Cyprus is going to be shut down and then turned over to the Greek banks. But aren't they in trouble? But here's what they did. Deposits over 100,000 euros will be frozen. Now, 100,000 euros, that's about $130,000. They're going to be frozen and then used to resolve government debts and restructure. The government plans to take an estimated 30%, maybe up to 40% of all of the assets from the frozen accounts. Now, imagine. First of all, a week ago it was going to be between 6 and 10%. But what they've decided is to freeze people's account. Anybody who has $130,000 in their bank account, freeze them, and then pay off all the government debt. Can you imagine that happening here? The media is reporting this massive multi-billion-dollar theft as a deal that saved the day. But did it save the day? And what does it really mean? What does it accomplish? Well, if you're a Marxist radical, it accomplishes an awful lot. First of all, it redistributes the wealth. Redistribution of wealth. But that redistribution of wealth will cause civil unrest because of a couple of things. First of all, anybody who saved for an entire lifetime for a retirement, if you played by the rules, you're screwed. You're screwed. They're going to take your money. But more importantly, and something I don't hear anybody in the media talk about, small companies. Any small companies with payrolls to meet. For instance, we're a small company. I have all of my money in the bank. Well, if somebody took 30 to 40% and first of all froze my bank accounts, I'm not going to be able to pay my employees because everything's in the bank. And then if they decided to take 30 to 40%, I can't meet payroll, which means unemployment goes up. And so does strife. So does hunger. So does anger. Wait a minute, that's almost like civil unrest. So what they did causes the top coming down, taking this, causes the bottom to rise up. More people take to the streets, the goal of the radical left, and the progressives have successfully confiscated private funding for the greater good. First time, no private property. That's very unconstitutional, but it's Cyprus, so why pay attention? Unless it's not like anybody here has been saying about this kind of stuff.
That's why I've proposed taxing the record multi-billion-dollar profits of oil companies.
I want to take those profits and I want to put them into a strategic energy fund that will begin to fund alternative smart energy.
So there's no private property because they know better. They're the ones that made the mistake. The people, I don't know about Cyprus, but here, we've been saying stop the spending, and I'm telling you, they will do what they've just done. This is a test. Cyprus is a test. And really, it's all about control. I mean, it empowers. Who do you think it empowers? Do you think George Soros, Bloomberg, Al Gore, Warren Buffett, Bill Clinton, all those people, do you think they're going to be impacted by this sort of confiscation at all? Or do you think they'll be emboldened by it? Do you remember when I said spit yourself out of the system? Because, yeah, you know what? If you're not designing the system, you're going to be a slave to it. Do you remember that? Do you think the people who sat at the table trying to work this deal out to approve confiscation of 40% of everybody's asset that has anything in their life savings in a bank, do you think they approved that if they went, oh, gee, that's going to hit me 40%? Do you think they were affected by it at all? This kicks the snot out of everybody who comes up behind. Because the Soroses and the Bloombergs of the world, they don't care. They got theirs. And they're designing the new system. And what happens? This kicks the snot out of everybody who's semi-rich behind them. Anybody who has $130,000 in the bank. This creates greater instability in the region. It causes runs on the bank. You watch, it will happen. But also instability politically speaking. For a couple of reasons. Inside out. There's no private property. You can't trust the rules anymore. Inside out. A new power class. They've just destroyed everybody who was coming up. So anybody who made the rules, those are the people that now have the money for power. But you've also made new enemies, the people in Germany. The Cypriots now are saying, Germans, those evil Germans. It's not the Germans. It's not the Germans. Who's making the decisions? Watch the other hand. But also Russia. Up to 40% of the Cypriot bank deposits are estimated 40% to belong to Russian businesses and individuals worth about $32 billion. Okay, that's not a good idea. Dmitriev, this is the, or Medvedev, Dmitry Medvedev. He called the actions of Cyprus, quote, the stealing of the stolen. Don't steal from the mob. Do the people in Cyprus not watch the news? Have they not seen what happens to the enemies of Russia and those people who they don't like or steal their money? Journalists mysteriously fall out of buildings 9 stories up. Dissidents are mysteriously poisoned to death. Political enemies, like this guy just this weekend, ended up mysteriously dead in a bathtub. Don't know what happened there. Everything that happened in Cyprus is a major progressive victory. Okay, top down, no private property, redistribution of wealth, take the savings. Bottom up is going to cause unemployment, civil unrest, and those who saved are screwed, and runs on the banks. Inside out, no more private property, new power class, and new enemies. Top down, bottom up, inside out, it's happening with money.